the flesh and blood man.
A non-belligerent. I'll bet you that's where it is. You can file these. I'll bet there's a way of getting these guys for war crimes if they come after you in your flesh and blood capacity.
And we're looking into developing it so that we can go to the World Cup with it.
But that's the. Thanks, Al. Really, I'm serious, guy. You put it together for me anyway.
When you make the comment, it just rang my bell as soon as you know.
Because I've been thinking about that and trying to find, because I told Al earlier today when we discussed it that there had to be some documentary connection on paper somewhere.
They hung those guys in Nuremberg, and that's the documentary connection. The rope around their neck. You make war on civilians, you get hung.
Not only that, in the process of the Republic of Texas, when the documents were sent to Hague, Netherlands, they replied back to the provisional government of Texas, we are a de facto corporate court and cannot hear an issue from a sovereign.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it makes perfect sense.
Yes, it does. Now I got a place I can go look, because I'll have that information nailed down within a matter of 2 or 3 weeks. Because if that's the case, then we've got a major new weapon, and like I said before, guys, I never know where this information has come from. Al and I sit in there in this little place eating popcorn and getting the salty fingers and everything else for about 2.5, 3 hours a day, and I was beating my head against the wall trying to figure out why it is that they have this. Where's the documentary connection? I know what they do. They respond to it as if it's, you know, the cross before Dracula, you know. They respond to it, but where's the documentary evidence why they should do that? That always bothered me. I think now that we've got a major new weapon developing. Thank you, Al. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. God bless you, sir. Now, people, what we need to think of here, and I'm going to come down on a closing here pretty soon, so that Randy can get into the definitions, and I think these are going to kind of blow your mind away when he gets to the definitions. What we need to realize is that one of the reasons why, which supports what you just got through saying, Al, one of the reasons why they don't come directly after us is also because of the fact that in the military law and the international law, they're required to respect the customs and usages of the occupied country. That's also an important argument. Not near as good as the one you just raised, I think, but that is an argument that's in the sources. Okay, and I might add that we went through 259 titles in the UCLA and Los Angeles law libraries on military government and martial rule. We narrowed it down to 42 titles and finally settled on one essay and one book, which you can get from Randy. It's called Military Government and Martial Rule by Berkheimer. All right? And in the list of products in the back of the Book of the Hundreds, it's in there. That's a book that'll really open your head as far as what's going on with the courts. And the other book you need is the 1984/94 edition of the Manual of Courts Martial. Between those two books, you'll be able to figure out every single thing the courts do. All right? Why they do process the way they do it. Why they file it the way they file it against you. Why bench warrants are issued in spite of the fact that in almost every state I know of, all warrants must issue through the district or county attorney's office. And yet judges issue bench warrants all the time. Now you know why it is when you go out, for example, and you get stopped by a cop and you make the blunder of stepping out of your car. Why they tow your car? Because under military law, you've abandoned the property. Okay? And once you all abandon property, becomes automatically the property of the conquering power under military law. Okay? I never and until we found that, I couldn't understand why I got on my 4th or 5th arrest. I can't remember which one. The guy, the sheriff's deputy said, "Get out of the car." And I said, "No. I'm staying right here. I got no reason to get out of this car." And he says, "Okay." All he did was write me a citation On the other 3 prior occasions, when I got out of the car, he towed it every single time. I never understood that until Randy found an obscure reference in the Manual for Courts Martial, which classifies such property as abandoned property. Now, having covered all this background, all you need is a clear understanding of about 24 words: person, human being, natural person, natural man, etc., and some other concepts and ideas, which Randy's he's gonna, in this Mellencamp Dictionary of Law and the Oxford English Dictionary and the other dictionary sites that are in that one little package that you've got that came with the Book of the Hundreds. It's a stack of paper about yay thick. All right, all the original source documents for this is in that package, including my favorite definition of a bureaucrat. One who works at a fixed routine without exercising intelligent judgment. I love that. Now, what? That's actually in the Random's house, and people didn't believe me, so Randy decided to copy that out of the dictionary and tack it on the back of the package so I'd have some credibility here. The point is, guys, is that you now understand why it is military law and its understanding is important for your being able to understand the court process that exists today. All right? You also understand now why the common law, when properly served in such courts, wins when properly written and served, wins 100% of the time. Because it comes in here from this level, the highest level of law there is next to the scriptures, and the law they're using, I call it mud law because it's down here in the mud when on the scale of the hierarchy of law. And the reason why it wins is because we can come in and hit them, but they don't have standing to come up and hit us. And I think that, this is really getting to my head now, what you just got through saying. It's interrupting my whole train of thought because the possibilities in that are pregnant, really doesn't describe the possibilities that are in that, okay? The point is that once you understand the military background, once you understand that our law comes in from the highest possible law, higher even than the Constitution, because the Constitution is, after all, a mere statute. Now, some of you guys that are real constitutional devotees, you got to reckon with the fact that the Constitution is, after all, just a statute. All right, 1 U.S. 1. All right, it is a statute. And the common law, embodied in the Constitution, was used to frame the document, which is merely a statute. And that's why when somebody asked me out in the hall a while ago, well, can we use codification to the common law? I said no, because as soon as it's codified and passed by a legislature, it becomes a statute, and it's no longer valid. Now, one last thing, and then we're going to take a little short break here, and then Randy's going to finish off the evening, and I got to rush upstairs and set up the mixers and everything else to get ready to do our show tonight after Tom Valentine. There's one class of people in the law reform movement that we looked long and hard to find a name for, and we finally ended up with kitchen sinkers. Because these guys, when they file process, throw in everything they can think of, including the kitchen sink, and then wonder why it is they lose. And generally their reaction is, well, they're just rolling over us. No, you've taken a knife to a gunfight and thought that with a multiplicity of knives that you would somehow overcome the automatic weapons of the enemy. That's not only stupid, it's probably a gross embarrassment if you really understood what's going on. I know they're not coming after me because they don't know I'm in Texas. Now, the point I'm making, guys, is this. Don't use any statutes in any common law process, all right? Don't sign UCC 1-207 without prejudice underneath your signature on a common law process. You destroy the process because you've brought a statute into a non-statutory instrument. We understand ourselves? Huh? We understand, guys, don't use statutes